And look, you know, I grew up patriotic parents, and I love America, but I was kind of like, this is cheesy. Until I realized how bad other countries are on average and how there's globalists trying to bring down our nation, then I realized patriotism is like a lifeboat in the middle of a frozen ocean. You need it to survive. Because if you don't have that, you're going to be run by something else. If you're not run by your own patriotic Americanism, rugged individualism. And so President Trump pointed out that they have this whole take a knee movement to demonize America and run things into the ground. And they're banning veterans groups from running ads saying don't do it during the NFL. But Preston Sharp of PrestonSharp.net, young man, we're going to talk to him here in just a minute. He goes out and puts flags on the graves of veterans that have been forgotten. And you can say, oh, well, you know, what's that do? Well, it shows you care about your ancestors and those that sacrificed. And you realize it's not Hollywood and football stars and basketball stars that are the real heroes, but it's people that actually are willing to stand up for their fellow humans. So let's play a clip of the president talking about Preston Sharp. Here it is during the State of the Union.
Here tonight is Preston Sharp, a 12-year-old boy from Redding, California, who noticed that veterans' graves were not marked with flags on Veterans Day. He decided all by himself to change that and started a movement that has now placed 40,000 flags at the graves of our great heroes. Preston, a job well done.
So there's the good. Now the president gets into the bad. You know, if America's so bad, you hate the country itself, get out. You want to debate the country? That's fine, but don't say you hate it. I'm not going to make you leave. I'm just saying you should.
Young patriots like Preston teach all of us about our civic duty as Americans. And I met Preston a little while ago, and he is something very special that I can tell you. Great future. Thank you very much for all you've done, Preston. Thank you very much.
And then he goes on for 4 minutes about the NFL and these people making $80 million every couple of years.
Reverence for those who have served our nation reminds us of why we salute our flag, why we put our hands on our hearts for the Pledge of Allegiance, and why we proudly stand for the national anthem.
This is under attack. The Democrats all sitting over there, sickening people. All right, then he goes into the whole rebuke of the NFL we've already played. We're going to break in a few minutes, but I want to go to Preston. First off, Preston, you know, you got a great family, you're a great guy, but what was it like sitting right next to Melania Trump, one of the most beautiful and energetic and great ladies out there? I got to say, I'm very jealous because she was particularly glowing. That's kind of like saying the sun's already glowing. What was it like sitting next to Melania Trump?
Wow, it was amazing sitting next to her. When I was sitting next to her, I couldn't believe that I was even invited to the State of the Union or anything like that. It was just amazing.
Well, I got to say, Sean, I've not been intimidated by women or men since I was probably about 14, 15 years old, but I've been around Melania Trump before, and she's a little bit intimidating when you see her in person. She's definitely quite a lady. So I think everybody watching and listening is very jealous right now.
Yeah.
What was it like when you got? What was it like being there, here in this historic State of the Union? America turned around in only 365 days. What was it like being there?
Oh, it was. I didn't believe my eyes, because when I started with Flags and Flowers, I had no clue that this would ever become, for me, meeting the president or the vice president.
That's a good question. We'll get more into it after the break. But how did you get the idea of seeing no flags on the graves? And then how did the White House learn about that?
So the VA flew me out in September to Washington, D.C. And so that's how the White House found out, I think.
So what'd you go to Arlington? So you went and saw there was no flags?
Yeah. So wait, how I started?
Yes.
So I started in a local cemetery near me in Redding, California. And I was going to honor my grandfather, who was in the Navy. And I went there thinking that it was Veterans Day, and there was going to be flags out on the veterans' grave sites. And when I got there, there wasn't. So I got really frustrated with that, and I really wanted to honor our veterans, and I really felt like they should be honored for what they did.
Let's talk about that when we come back. We've got some big breaking news here in a few minutes after Preston leaves us. I'm just going to leave it at that. We have major Democratic Party spokespersons coming out and foreshadowing exactly what I said last week, word for word. We don't have the staff to go back and get the show Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but you, the listeners, can do this. And if you post it, we'll play it tomorrow, or maybe we'll try. We do 4 hours a day, and then the other shows, another 6, 7 hours. But remember what I said, word for word. I'm going to talk about it coming up here in just a few minutes. Preston, you're awesome, PrestonSharp.net. I wanted you to just go back to your awakening, why you decided to get involved, because your grandfather was in World War II. You were saying you didn't see the flags out there when you wanted to go. And so, without putting words in your mouth, I'm leaving off where you finished. This journey from a few small steps, suddenly you're at the State of the Union. Please continue.
Yeah. So I was at the cemetery, and I realized that there wasn't any flags out, and I just got really mad and just I just got really mad and frustrated that our veterans weren't getting honored, and I wanted to start honoring them. And the cemetery wasn't really well taken care of. So my mom taught me, if you see something wrong, to do something about it and not let it get worse. So that's what I did. And I've placed over 40,000 flags and flowers out on veterans' grave sites. And I also cleaned the stones if they need to be cleaned.
And then you got contacted, what, a month ago or so? When did you get contacted with the White House?
I got contacted.
It doesn't matter specifically. The point is that you took action from your heart, and now it's a big national story about caring about people that, lay their lives down or fight for others.
Yeah, when I started doing this, I was thinking of placing like the flags at the cemetery. And I didn't realize that it was going to get this big at all. I just thought that it was going to be a small community thing. And then I just went on the news a couple times, and then it just skyrocketed from there, and people started helping me more. And it has been a lot of support, and it's just been amazing.
Well, you've obviously got great parents. Why don't you spend a minute or two talking about the type of parents you've got that, compared to the average, and I'm sorry to say this, average selfish, narcissistic young person out there, a lot of them are with this modern culture. What made you different so that I can learn from that?
Well, I was just like a regular kid, which I still am, but I just went to my grandfather's gravesite, and my mom taught me, if you see something wrong, to do something about it. So I was like, God taught that, and that's how I knew what to do. And I just really, really wanted to start honoring veterans, because they gave their lives to us, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them.
Now I understand what happened, because you look about a year or two younger in the photo with your grandfather. I know most World War II vets have died. There's only a few thousand left. And so when I saw that photo, I didn't want to raise it and say, oh, were you visiting him at the graveyard? You were saying you wanted to honor veterans.
That's not my grandpa.
That's another fella?
Yeah, so that's the veteran who I adopted the dog from, so he could see the dog whenever he wants.
Well, that's awesome. So tell us about your grandfather then.
I don't really know anything about him because I never met him. So, yeah.
Well, he's alive in you right now, and the fact that you care about these things tells us all we need to know. I really appreciate you spending so much time with us. Anything else you'd like to add?
Honor veterans every day, not just on a holiday.
Well, I think we should honor everybody, Preston Sharp, who actually cares about other people and isn't a coward. So you're not a coward, and there you are at the State of the Union, standing up for this country and being the opposite of people making $10 million a year that are so upset about this country. I don't know why these people are so upset about the country. They can say they're upset about issues in it, but to say the country itself's bad, it's a bunch of communist Chinese propaganda. That's who's running this whole thing. All right, sir, we appreciate you, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, that's a really smart 12-year-old young man there. We're excited to have him on to talk about it, because here's the deal. I grew up hearing about how great America was and how great Texas was, and about my family ancestry and the rest of it. And I wasn't an arrogant person, so I thought, this is kind of arrogant. But my parents weren't arrogant. They were just telling me the history. And once I got older and realized everything I stood for was under total attack by a bunch of offshore megacorporations, because they saw what my family stood for and what they did as the enemy. And that was, strong people stand up and build a civilization. They don't squat on the little people and dominate them and control them and hurt them. Strong people stand up against bullies and hand their ass to them. And so now I understand my mission. But it was good having that young man on. The Super Bowl's coming up. I hope there's no terror attack, but Zach's been a really great source, and he says they've rolled up most of the threats there, but we'll continue to see what unfolds with that. Just know this country is in a fight for its very life right now. And I think about all the things that are happening, and I think about all the things that are unfolding, and it makes my head spin. But I know it makes your head spin as well. Just know this, if you do the right thing and take action, there's nothing we can't turn around. I have one more piece of news I want to get to here, but I want to just play Devin Nunes one more time. Attacks the left. The attacks from the left, he says, are quite enjoyable, because in that is the essence of what's going to make us turn this civilization around. When we're demonized, when we're bullied, we're attacked, we don't give in, we don't back down. We'll play that clip, and I've got a huge piece of news at the end to cover. Here it is.